back to my channel. I am so glad that you are here. And look here, I tell you, sometimes technology just doesn't want to let you be great, but that's okay. We're hanging in there and we're just getting it done anyways. So yeah, I'm back for what will be the last upload for today. I wasn't too sure if I was going to be able to get this video out, but I said, hey, go ahead and bite the bullet and let's go ahead and do this, because this is actually a bit of an update to the current status of Bravo's Vanderpump Rules show. So we all know, for those who are watching, and even for those who maybe didn't watch it, maybe this is your introduction to Vanderpump Rules, the Scandoval of it all, right? And that was, of course, two main characters who have been together for about 10 years plus, something around that range. And one of the two of that pairing decided it would be a great idea, that being Tom Sandoval, to have an affair with one of the other castmates and apparently good friends of his girlfriend, Rachel Levies, as we see right here. She used to go by Raquel, but now she has apparently went back to her original moniker, her government given name, being Rachel. So yeah, apparently, just as a bit of a speed up in that, we all know that season 11 came about. Season 10, I believe, is when the scandal was actually exploded all over the place. It hit CNN, it hit everywhere. It just was the situation that was heard all around the world, really. It got so much coverage. And yeah, Ariana being the actual part of that coupling, the girlfriend, she has been able to skyrocket quite a bit in her professional life due to the effects of what took place. And so, yeah, there's been a lot of conversation in regards to that, and a lot of things revealed in season 11 in regards to somewhat the aftermath of Scandoval. Right? What was happening from that point of announcement, if you will. So that being said, it looks like season 12 is currently on hiatus at this point. I don't believe they started filming yet, but it was determined at the end of season 11 that they were going to take a bit of a cooling off period because there was so much, to deal with in regards to that scandal. Lots of emotions felt, lots of things done, lots of tears shed, lots of anger expressed, and it just seemed to be a real good time to say, you know what, let's give everybody a bit of a break. Not to mention that a lot of the cast members are doing multiple things in this time during our hiatus, so that works well for them as well. That being said, one of the main individuals of the Scandoval, which would be the third party person, would be Rachel here. And she had decided not to come back to the show. Now, what we all know of, if you were following, she had definitely made sure that she wasn't going to be on for that 11th season, but she also had checked herself into a mental facility because the weight of the situation was so enormous, and she needed to really dive into the reasons why she decided to pursue an affair with the boyfriend, a long-term lived-in boyfriend, common law for the most places. They're out in California, a boyfriend of her really good friend, who it was just such devastation there. So I've done some videos obviously about this situation and more along with the aftermath of things and what's been kind of going on, not just on camera, but offside of camera as well. And so this video will be sharing a lot of that. So we're going to get Rachel's, perspective, so to speak, kind of like, I would say, her kind of farewell to the whole franchise, even though we kind of felt that she had already did that. But she had some things she wanted to share, so she's going to speak on that. We're going to go over that in this sharing. Also, we're going to see that Katie Maloney, well, she's livid and she ain't having it. So there's that. And then Lisa Vanderpump was a little bit confused about the whole thing. And so we'll go ahead and get into that sharing as well. So definitely, I want to know your thoughts about this. Again, this is more or less an update to the status of the cast members. Now, there is also subsequently a situation going on with the lawsuit between Rachel, Ariana, and Tom, and that is direct connection to the Scandoval situation as a whole, and of course about how the footage, if you will, was shared or seen by other people, which was, I believe, on Tom's phone. This is how Ariana, if you recall, had found out that the scandal or affair, we'll call it, which is what it is, took place by picking up his phone and seeing, the explicit photos and such, and whatever other communication on that verified that this was going on. And so apparently there is some issue with which Rachel feels like that information was shared, and so therefore we're going into the revenge P area of things. So there is a lawsuit that's going on at this time between Rachel, and she, I guess, is levied that lawsuit against Ariana and Tom as well. Now, there was also a situation where it appeared that Tom might have been suing Ariana in the midst of this as well, but he had came out and said no, he is not doing that. And I believe that the lawyer that he had at that time, he is no longer with and has some of the representation, from what I understand. So I haven't seen much of anything else up from that update at this point. But again, I do have those videos on the platform, so if you're interested in knowing the details and more about what was going on, definitely make sure you take a look at those if you haven't done so already, or if you simply want to just refresh yourself about what's going on with those lawsuits up to date. I am definitely keeping abreast, and whenever I see any updates that occurs in regards to the particular situation, I'll definitely will be sharing with you, as I already opened it up and shared it originally anyways on the platform. So we're again going to dive in again to the casting element of this, and we're going to start off with, again, Mr. Rachel Levies. And so yeah, sit back, relax, definitely make sure you throw in your respectful comments down in the comment section so we can talk about it. I would love to know your thoughts about all of these sharings in this video for today. So let's go ahead and get started. The first in which we are going to go ahead and speak about what Rachel is feeling right now, because she didn't have an opportunity apparently to really share her thoughts in addition to the actual scandal, popping out, but just how she's been feeling since taping has concluded for her. Now, according to 2fab.com, Rachel Levies had reflected on how she has changed since Scandoval and how she felt betrayed by her ex-friends. Now, the dark times were so dark, she says, and it felt like there wasn't a way out for the longest time, said the Vanderpump Rules alum, who also shared what it would take for her to consider returning to the show. Okay. So apparently, as we all know, as a bit of a recap, it was back in March of 2023 when Scandoval, Rachel Levies, and Tom Sandoval's secret affair took over the world. And now Levies is opening up about how she's changed since the Vanderpump Rules scandal shook up her life over a year ago. Now, in an interview with Us Weekly, which marks her first interview in a year, the former reality star detailed her mental health journey, reflected on her personal transformation, and revealed what it would take for her to return to Vanderpump Rules. The dark times were dark, and it felt like there wasn't a way out of the longest time. I decided I needed to start making better decisions, Levy, 29, said. It took time to integrate everything that I had learned into my real life, but I feel like I'm finally now able to start living for me. Although I'm still in therapy and make it a point to continue to work on myself, there's a newfound level of freedom. It's an era of healing, she continued, adding that her new era is also the era of freedom. Now, Levies and Sandoval, of course, were involved in a cheating scandal after the two had a months-long secret affair when the latter was still in a relationship with Ariana Madix. Now, Levies and Sandoval's affair came to light in March of 2023, and viewers watched as it was exposed on season 10, finale of Vanderpump Rules, and blew up on the three-part reunion. Levies entered a mental health facility following the reunion, and she and Sandoval reportedly split in May of 2023. Now, Levies now lives in Arizona and called her move one of the biggest changes in her life in the past year. I think the biggest is not living in LA anymore and not drinking anymore, she explained of her lifestyle changes. That's more of a promise to myself. I committed to a year of not drinking alcohol, and I accomplished that, and I'm just continuing going this route because I realize that I don't need alcohol. Also surrounding myself with positive people, those are the real life-changing lifestyle choices that I have made. She also said a huge lifestyle change has been in her daily activities, including yoga and walking. Opening up more about her decision to move to Arizona, Levy said it was almost like I had to reach this unhealthy level of toxicity in order to make a change in my life. I'm grateful that I've been able to step out of that. I don't think LA is all bad, but being in certain environments could bring out the worst in a person. So now when I go visit Santa Monica, I have new friends, and there's a common theme such as spirituality and not drinking. It's a much healthier social circle that I'm in LA. Now, the Bravo alum also reflected on her 3-month stay at a mental health facility, sharing how she took what she learned into her life now. A huge reason I started my podcast is because I did learn so much. I wanted to share that knowledge with other people, said Levies, who launched her podcast, Rachel Goes Rogue, in January of 2024. Because being in toxic relationships is such a relatable thing, I think we've all had some sort of situation where there's power imbalances and you can lose yourself. So, figuring out what it was for me and sharing that with other people is a huge part of my life's mission now. And I've been able to do that with my podcast. She added that she has a tendency to put my significant other on a pedestal and would have rose colored glasses on. Now she says she's prioritizing her female friendships, which is something she discussed throughout the interview. Levy said her friendships are now healthy, unlike the group of former friends and co-stars she had in Los Angeles during her time starring on Vanderpump Rules. It shouldn't really be people tearing each other down in order to get power over one another. I feel like I was in that dynamic and that dysfunctional friend group for so long that it did feel normal to me, she explained. Now, I have these new friends that have been friends for years, and they have such a close connection. I'm like, dang, did I miss out on that type of friendship where it really does improve your quality of life? But I decided to join the show and I decided to put myself in that environment. And I'm grateful for the lessons that I've learned along the way. Now I'm able to make friendships that can last a lifetime. Now, while she admitted that she does miss her old friendships, she said she felt betrayed by them in the wake of Scandoval. I haven't heard from anyone. I think the most heartbreaking part of it all was feeling betrayed by my friends, Levy said. I know how that sounds because I was somebody who betrayed a friend. But in my darkest times, I just thought these were my true friends and they would love me no matter what and would want to hear me out. That just wasn't the case. Now, it was heartbreaking realizing that the people I was surrounding myself with, a lot of them were quick to turn on me. I had to learn the hard way to completely cut off all communication to all of my friends, she added, saying it was a really difficult time. When she asked if she'd ever reconnect with Maddox, Levy said, I think we're both moving on in our lives and I wish her continued success. Meanwhile, despite Levy's decision not to return for season 11 of Vanderpump Rules following the Scandoval, she was a frequent topic of discussion so far on the season as the cast dealt with the fallout of Scandoval. When it comes to possibly returning to reality TV one day, Levy's told Us Weekly that she would be interested in starring in a competition series, but that's the extent of it, at least for now. Now, of course, for Vanderpump Rules specifically, Levy said it would take a lot for her to return to the Bravo series. It would take all expenses paid therapy. I would need a therapist on an all call and therapy sessions after every single filming season, she said. I just don't know if I see a path forward because it's not a healthy dynamic. I'm trying to protect my mental health and I'm trying to live an authentic life. She also admitted that it was hard to see her former castmates talk about her on season 11. Now, I was not there to defend myself, and that was hard. That is another reason why I started the podcast, so I could have a voice, said Levies, who shared her thoughts on her podcast throughout the season. I'm able to impact people in a positive way through my podcast, so in a way, I actually don't need the show, and I'm healthier without it. There's other ways that I can pursue my soul's purpose in life without the show. That was like a full circle chapter, and it's complete. I don't see myself returning because there wouldn't be anything positive coming from that. And so there you have it. As far as Rachel is concerned, she seems to be extremely enlightened in her decision. She seems to be very confident in the way she feels about it. Now, I'm pretty sure that some people will feel a little bit different when it comes to her, maybe slightly jaded, because the bottom line is that she did a really cruel thing. I mean, you know, it's worse than just not being a girl's girl. The fact of the matter is you had a friendship with someone and you thought it was going to be a good idea to go ahead and go into a month-long affair with her boyfriend, live-in boyfriend. Could be considered common law since they live in California. So it was just really ridiculous, really, on that front. Now, the backlash that they both received, Tom included, was fierce and it was quick, it was swift, and it was unrelenting, I think would be the right word, right? Relenting would be that it pulled back. So unrelenting. And it was just all over the place. And neither one of them probably could get away from it. Matter of fact, I think by Rachel being able to get herself checked into a mental facility, that allowed her to really separate herself from all the vitriol that, you know, Tom did not get a chance to escape from. So, you know, we saw tears shed. We saw a lot of Tom's excuses given and reasons given, and also his way of trying to get back into the good friend group, circle as it was so they can continue on with this show, because filming this show had to be extremely awkward for the both of them. Now, that being said, Rachel did have an opportunity to share her thoughts about the situation during the reunion of season 10, but of course it was very volatile at that time, but she did still have an opportunity. I felt like the show did a good job at giving her an opportunity to share her voice. Now, also in that reunion, if you remember, and if you did watch, she also had an extra segment after to give her one-on-one feeling and thoughts about the situation, which also included her really, kind of going up against Tom in this situation and feeling that she wanted to be able to speak on it and felt like she was being silenced at the same time. So again, she had a lot of opportunities on the show to speak her truth, if you will, her perspective of that, but maybe she didn't feel that she had the ability to be heard. Now, the surprising fact that she seems to come to fruition is that she was surprised about the friends on the show, which are also her cast members, and them turning on her. Well, I find that to be a bit perplexing for me, because at the end of the day, these were a group of friends who were tight for a very long time before Rachel was even entered into the scene. She also had a situation in which she was suing Sheena, who was really, really, at least appeared to be really, really tight with her. All that situation had dropped, and I think it was more or less of a restraining order that she was actually going after her with, and then through the process of that ended up going away. But the damage was done, and so you have Sheena, who has her own podcast and has talked about the show as well with other cast members as well, and given their perspective. So Rachel felt that even though she didn't return to the show, she would take the opportunity to get her voice heard, if you will, in an environment which she felt safe in, and so therefore brought about that podcast. Now, from what I understand, I think she had closed off that podcast and that she's no longer recording for it, as far as I know. So I guess more will be revealed. I personally thought that we wouldn't have heard anything more from Rachel past season 10, but here you have it. She had her piece to be made, and I think that she felt that was going to be healing for her. So definitely would love to know your thoughts below in regards to what Rachel shared, and definitely leave us respectfully down below. Let's have a conversation about it. And then we're going to go ahead and move on to Katie Maloney, because Katie ain't having it. She was livid and she ain't having it. So let's go ahead and get into that sharing. Now, Katie, according to US Magazine, or Us Magazine, I always want to say US Magazine, but it's Us Magazine.com, Katie Maloney reacts to Rachel Levy's remark about feeling betrayed. Now, during a podcast episode that she had actually went on called the Disrespectfully podcast, she actually was co-hosting that with Dana Cathon. And if I'm not mistaken, I think Dana was a cast member for at least a season about 3 seasons ago. I believe it's the same one. So apparently Katie, 37, and her co-host Dana expressed frustration after seeing Rachel reflect on the aftermath of her cheating scandal with Tom Sandoval. Now, she's moving the goalposts once again, everybody. I kind of have to chuckle at it because I don't know what she's trying to accomplish, Katie noted. But it is insane because she wants to talk about how she misses her friendship, but initially none of us were her friends. Now, Katie specifically pointed to a quote where Rachel, 29, had expressed frustration with the lack of support she received from certain friends. That was what she was touting, was that no one was that close. I wasn't even that close with her. That's why she justified everything. All of her behavior with Tom Schwartz or Ariana Madix was because she wasn't that close with anyone, Katie recalled. She pulled a restraining order on Sheena Shea, who was going to pick up the freaking phone, babe. If anyone was going to pick up the phone, it was going to be Sheena. You're suing everybody, right? Because Sheena, again, was really appeared to be one of those true blue friends to Rachel and helped her out in different situations where it was needed. Now, in March 2023, of course, Rachel had made headlines, as we all know, for her affair with Scandoval, as he and Ariana called it quits following nearly a decade of dating. Now, Rachel subsequently entered a 90-day treatment center for her mental health and left Vanderpump Rules, and then filed a lawsuit against Sandoval and Ariana for revenge P, eavesdropping, and invasion of privacy. And I touched on that in the previous sharing. Rachel told us earlier this month that she has missed past friendships since the scandal. She said, I haven't heard from anyone. I think the most heartbreaking part of it all was feeling betrayed by my friends. And I know how that sounds because, of course, I was somebody who betrayed a friend, she explained. But in my darkest times, I thought that these were my true friends and that they would love me no matter what and would want to hear me out. That just wasn't the case. Now, I would have to say, to Katie's note, yeah, Rachel did make it appear that she wasn't as close with Ariana in particular as it was being presented that they were. And Ariana said she was my really good friend, like they really were true friends, not just on the show, but behind the scenes. And they picked up for her. They did a lot of things with her. They really were there for her, especially, when she had the situation when she had split up with that other guy. I can't think of his name right now. But yeah, it was just unfortunate because that is really kind of the narrative that was going around, is they were saying, hey, we were really good friends. We were tight. We were close. And how could you do this to me? And she's on the other hand saying, we really weren't that great. We weren't that close. So yeah, there's a little bit of a contradiction there for sure. Now, the former reality star said it was heartbreaking when she saw how people had turned on her. Really, Rachel? I don't know about that. She says, I had to learn the hard way to completely cut off all communication to all my friends. So that was a really difficult time for her. But she says, I have been able to rekindle some of the friendships that I do value with the trusted people, she shared. Now we've come to this freedom where I don't need to monitor what I'm saying anymore because it's all out there. This is my new life and I really have nothing to hide. Now, Katie had a tense message for Rachel on that previous podcast, which was, in response to Rachel's revelations. She says, you're ruining Ariana because you freaked her boyfriend in her home while she was at a funeral. You're suing her because she happened to see the stuff on his phone. You need to get your freaking head checked, Rachel. This is for Katie. She added, the stuff that you put everyone through, the stuff you pulled with me, the vile freaking stuff you said to me, the way you made me feel when I looked in your freaking face and told you, and now you want to come and say this? Now, of course, I'm gonna have to clean it up a little bit, right? Because again, laced filled profanity. Now, Katie has a suggestion for Rachel after not being in contact with her for more than a year. This is what Katie says. Log off, get off the freaking internet, go open a Pilates studio, find a nice man, anyone that will freaking date you and have a nice, simple life. No one wants to freaking talk to you with the stuff that you're doing. You're insane. We've all left you alone, she concluded. You're mad that we weren't just like hitting you up and dipped out, disappeared, and went to your mental health place. Blocked everyone that even remotely tried to reach out to you. It wasn't gonna happen. Meaning she wasn't going to be one of those people who was going to be reaching out to Rachel. Now, while speaking with us, Rachel said she was excited to move forward after leaving her past at Bravo behind. And of course, she did, reiterates the fact that there was dark times, they were so dark, and she's making better decisions now in her life. And she took the time to integrate the things that she's learned in her time in therapy into her everyday life, and she seems to be thriving and doing just well. And if I'm not mistaken, I do think she is dating a new guy too. I think I saw that in a sharing somewhere along the way. So as you see it, Katie has spoke up and says, look, I ain't with it. I ain't trying to hear it. And you're changing the goalposts, as they say. You're changing the target, right? This is what you were saying at this time, and now that you've got your platform to say whatever you want to say, now you're saying things that obviously is not even recognizable to Katie. And Katie has never been one to hold punches when it came to Rachel or anybody else on the show for that matter. So yeah, she, like I said, was livid about the situation, and this is how she felt, and this is what she's going to be sticking to it. I do feel at this point that, irregardless of the little tap dancing around that Rachel did, I do feel like that her time is done, and I don't see her coming back. I mean, would the show ask her to come back or at least leave the door open for her? I think they would. I mean, of course, it would do great for the ratings, right? But at the end of the day, it's not a healthy situation. It won't be a healthy situation. And the more time that they're apart, it's better for her in her long run in her life, right? But if she was to then come back into the fold, I just don't think that there would be anything of value added to that situation. Not to mention that Tom is also in a new relationship as well. And so I would imagine he's going to try to find some way to have her featured on Vanderpump Rules if season 12 does come back and plays out to see what's going on with the cast at this point. So yeah, now we're going to run on over to Lisa, because Lisa's all confused about what is going on and basically confused about what Rachel has shared. So let's go ahead and get into that. I love a good Lisa quirk. All right. So now, according to Us Magazine, Lisa Vanderpump reacts to Rachel Levy's comments about Vanderpump Rules set needing therapists. And this, of course, was an exclusive sharing. Now, Lisa Vanderpump is confused by Rachel Levy saying she won't return to Vanderpump Rules unless production pays for her therapy. She said that, but I think she has had a therapist on hand the whole time through filming. Vanderpump 63 exclusively told Us Weekly while promoting her new floral collection, Vanderpump Blooms by Bloom, and Haws, available at Kroger stores starting Wednesday. And I believe that happened, I guess, in September sometime. So if you have checked out Kroger's and saw her Blooms by Bloom, Haws, drop it down below. She says, I think Bravo is very cognizant of that, of being there, even when you're filming, saying somebody's available for you to talk to, she continued. So I don't quite understand what that means. Now, Levy's 29 reacted to Vanderpump's comments via a statement from her rep to Us. To be clear, the quote was taken out of context, and Rachel has no interest in returning to the show. The statement read, she was conveying the impossibility of such a scenario, not opening the door to it. As for the working environment when she was a member of that cast, it is simply false that she or her castmates received mental health support. Now, Levy's did not return, as we know, to season 11 of VPR, which aired earlier this year after the fallout from her affair with co-star Tom Sandoval while he was dating Ariana Madix. Now, Levy's exclusively told us earlier this month that she would need all expense-paid therapy to return to the Bravo reality series. She says, I just don't know if I see a path forward because it's not a healthy dynamic, she said. I am trying to protect my mental health and I'm trying to live an authentic life. Now, Levy's has become estranged from her former VPR cast co-stars since the cheating scandal, and Vanderpump can't picture a world where she fits back into the fold, which is basically what I was sharing as well. It's hard to integrate somebody into a situation like this. As I say, you can never say never, but she's had a lot of negative things to say about Vanderpump Rules, about the producers, and about NBC, Vanderpump explained. So I think we can safely say that ship has sailed. Now, while Levy's left the show after season 10, Scandoval, 42, stayed on as a cast member and attempted to repair his fractured relationships with his co-stars, including Tom Schwartz and Sheena Shea. Now, Vanderpump told us that she tried to facilitate some kind of cohesion between Sandoval and the group during season 11 because she saw Madix, 39, thriving while Sandoval was kind of floundering. Now, she noted that Madix's success post-scandal, since she and Sandoval called it quits on March 2023, Madix has placed third on Dancing with the Stars, landed a Love Island USA hosting gig, and made her Broadway debut as Roxy Hart in Chicago, and has been the greatest revenge. And not to mention, I believe that Broadway debut was extended because of how popular she was. Now, she didn't get mad, she just got even, Vanderpump said, noting that she initially thought Madix would become the victim of the situation. I hope she can find a place in her life where she can let her anger go. I think then you can really feel you've moved on. But I think she's done really well, and I cheer her on every step of the way. Not to mention, Madix does have a boyfriend as well that she got with a few months, I think, after the whole situation broke, and they seem to be having a lovely relationship. So we'll see more of that, I'm sure, come season 12 if he is, so inclined to want to continue to film with her. He did do a couple of spots in season 11, and it was kind of nice to just see her be able to move on because we saw so much of Sandoval's situation. It was nice to see that. It was a relief for everybody, I think. Now, Vanderpump joked about the dynamics of the cast when asked to pick flowers for various cast members. She noted that she'd give Madix yellow roses for hope, but she isn't feeling particularly generous towards Sandoval at the moment. I might send him some weeds right now. I'll let you know, she quipped. Jokes aside, Vanderpump's new floral line is close to her heart. I've always really loved flowers. I think that's been very evident. Going back to the beginning of the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, you'd see me kind of arranging these huge arrangements in Villa Blanca and Sur, she said, referring to two of her restaurants. Flowers were always a passion of mine. I'm at the stage of my life where I'm really committed to just doing passion projects. And isn't that so wonderful when you get that point in life where you can just functionally do that at all times? So yeah, there's Lisa, of course, unbothered as usual. She takes it all in stride, and the checks keep coming, so it's all good. Now, I think that Lisa also had a new show that was coming out, I think called The Wolf something, and I'm not sure of the location on it, but I think it was somewhere in Utah, maybe Lake Tahoe, I think. So whether or not that's going to continue on or not, I'm not really sure. Of course, she had other shows as well, like Vanderpump Pups. I don't think that show is airing anymore. And then, of course, Vanderpump Rules, her flagship show. And, a lot of us wanted her to get back onto Real Housewives of Orange County, Beverly Hills as well. But, that ship I think is sailed for her too. And at the end of the day, she's doing so many things that bring her a lot of joy, and she's sticking with that. And I say bravo to her for that as well. So yeah, you've got Rachel, sharing her piece. Katie not here for it, and Lisa just confused and, well, moving on with the rest of her life. So nevertheless, it's a good thing that Rachel has gotten what she needed to get. I hope that she has gotten all of what she needed to say out and feels the closure that so many of us have already felt she had already had, and also really do cheer her on in her endeavors for life, because clearly this is not the best location for her to be on. And with all that has happened, I just don't see a place for her to be back on the show either. I don't think many people will be interested in seeing her, and what would really be the point? So there's that. So with that, I thank you so much for being here. I think that about does it for this video. I most certainly would love to know your thoughts about all the sharings in this particular video. So definitely go ahead and leave those down below in the comment section. Let's have a conversation about it. As they are on season 12 hiatus, do you think you'll be watching when it comes back? Are you interested in seeing what's going on with the cast? Or do you think that maybe season 11 is a nice kind of tie a bow moment and let's let it be? They do have that show called The Valley that's out now too. I didn't really get into it, but if you did and you would like to share that, go ahead and leave that down in the comment section. Let me know what you thought of it. But yeah, that is maybe the next evolution, I guess, of Vanderpump Rules in a sense. I'm not really 100% sure. There was some talks of potentially maybe some, or maybe this could be rumored, right, of some of the staff that was on Vanderpump Rules, or cast rather, not really staff anymore, could maybe go onto the Valley, and then maybe Vanderpump Rules will kind of revamp itself kind of around what it always had been, which was, the restaurant, and, these young individuals working in the restaurant, and then, knowing about their lives. Basically everything that the cast currently does now, but has grown out of since, we're much older and much more moved on in our lives from these things. So yeah, it would be interesting to see how season 12 will shape up and what will be, coming to the fruition, and what kind of challenges or issues will come of that, because I think that the Scandoval situation, I think that's done now. I think season 11 was a good stopping point for that. I don't think there's much more aftermath even needed. I think the house situation is between Ariana and Thomas wrapping up. If I'm not mistaken, I think it is wrapped up. I think this house is on the market, which is what Ariana wanted in the first place. As she shared, she didn't think it was right that she'd have to move out of this home that she had, picked out with him and was living with him, was her dream home at the time, and how unfair it would be that you would cheat on her in this house, and then have the nerve to move your, concubine in to the house after virtually evicting me. So Ariana was not having it. So it looks like things have kind of shaped up, I think, to the point where the house is going on the market, and apparently Sandoval is now living with his girlfriend. So, everybody's moving on. And if I'm not mistaken, Ariana has a new home as well. And we saw some pictures on the outside. I don't know if we've seen any more than that, but it looked like a really cute home, by the way. And, Sheena's moving on with Brock, and they moved to someplace, I think, close to the Valley as well. So, everybody's doing what they're doing. Oh, of course, too, I guess as we're recapping everybody's goings on, Lala was on Watch What Happens Live yesterday, actually. And so, she had did fraternity as well for her second child, who is born. And so she has her 2-month-old baby along with her oldest daughter, Ocean, as well. So she seems to be thriving and doing well in life as well. So it will remain to see if Vanderpump Rules will live to see another season, or if we're saying goodbye to it. But that being said, again, thank you so much for being here. If you are new here and you haven't had a chance to subscribe, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, be part of the family, be part of the community. I would so love to have you. I would so appreciate it so much to have you around, and just, let's chat about the things that are going on and these things, because there's so many crazy things going on everywhere else. And I do appreciate our little family here growing. I'm so excited about that. And I thank you so much for all of you that continue to view and just hear in your support. And I so appreciate that. Also, go ahead and give the video a like. We want to go ahead and spread this conversation out for others to, maybe, take a look at it as well and share their thoughts when it comes to Vanderpump Rules. So I'd definitely love to know that. The more, the merrier. right? And so with that, definitely also make sure you keep your all notification bell on so that you don't miss any of my future uploads. This will be the last one for today. So thank you again so much for popping back in and hanging out with me. I so do appreciate it. And of course, I think at this point I will bid you adieu. So you take care, be blessed. And until next time, bye.